Welcome back to Deep Dive Dialogues. I'm your host, Dan Warheide, and I, as always, am pretty excited to be here. I want to also welcome you into 2025. We're officially about a week in, and I couldn't think of a better way to kick off this new year with you than to share with you today's topic, or maybe topics, but decluttering and how to bring more health, more wealth, and more excitement into your life, your business. And I'm going to give you 3 ideas that I think will help you to refresh in this new year. So I hope you're excited. This year, I want to share with you that, I'm all about doubling down on real-time connection. Less automation, fewer distractions. I've realized that genuine transformation happens inside of conversations. They don't happen in any fancy marketing funnels. And I know I've discussed in some of my other shows and even in some interviews that I've done with others in the past about my focus on connecting and this idea that I carry with me, or maybe it's a value, maybe it's I don't know, maybe it's wrong, but the idea is that customer service in this world seems to be significantly lacking. And I believe that there is a significant opportunity for those people who can break through the noise, finding a way to stand out in that world by focusing on connecting with people, genuine human connection. And that is also why I've chosen to only work by invitation or referral. I don't use any spammy tactics. I don't use any buzzwords or keywords to try and attract or entice anyone to want to work with me. I focus rather on real connections. It's also why I chose recently, if you were to go take a look at my website, danw.us, I've made some, I'm going to call them significant changes that are more in alignment with how I'm showing up in the world, how I want to show up in the world, and what I have found to be extremely useful in growing a prosperous coaching business or helping people to experience more of what they want in life. My focus is to do that through connection. And if you were to call me and ask for some coaching around this topic, this is probably where we might spend some time. But I've made some significant changes to my website to show this and my focus on old school human-to-human interactions. Essentially, it now says, shoot me an email, include your phone number so we can hop on a call. If you're outside of the US, of course, let's set up a Zoom. And in fact, if that's your preference, it is the second most preferred method for connecting, along with so phone calls, I think, are the second most interactive and effective way to communicate with people. I'd much rather meet someone in person, of course, but if I can also accomplish similar results with the phone call or a Zoom call, then those are great. What I'm aiming for is skipping all the fancy tools and automations and just focusing on connecting, because that's where the magic happens. So if you take a look at that, you'll see that I've eliminated all the things that could potentially distract from that focus for me and for you if you're the one visiting my site. So before I jump into our real content for today, you may have heard me say this already if you've listened to the last few episodes, but one of my coaches, Crystal Prophet, who is a great woman in the world of podcasting, encouraging and teaching podcasters every day. I chose to join her community because I've been following her work for a while. In fact, she was one of the main resources that I utilized when I first started podcasting back in early 2020. And anyway, so she has encouraged me in a recent review to ask for more reviews of my show. So here I am asking you to please take a moment to rate or review this show. And you can do so. It looks a couple different ways depending on which app you're listening in or which device you're listening from. And if all of that happens to be too much to worry about trying to figure out, simply go to my podcast website, podcast.danw.us, and you can leave a review directly on that site. You could also leave a voicemail. Tell me what you think, what you like, what you don't like, what you might like to hear more of. All of those things. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. And of course, I would be remiss if I failed to offer you my email, dan@danw.us. If you want to connect with me, send me your phone number or tell me your preference for Zoom, and we'll coordinate a time and get on a call. If you're in the United States, I'll call you when I'm available after I've received your email, as long as it's within the guidelines of the times that you said you're most likely to be available. If it's a Zoom call, we might have to do a little bit more coordinating, especially if you're not in the US and I'm not immediately available once I received your email. But for the most part, my goal is to try and reach out to you directly as soon as possible. Obviously, I have, coaching clients and other activities that would keep me from responding immediately, but I will do my best. Anyway, now let's dive into today's focus. I already said I want to talk to you about decluttering of sorts. And as we walk together in this now second week of January, it's amazing, right? 2025, already into the second week. And I'm just actually, as of today, I'm just under a week from moving once again because we've changed our move date. I was originally going to move on the 15th of January, but we just bumped that up. I just bumped that up a couple days earlier to give me a little extra time in coordinating a few things. So I don't know why I shared that with you, but there you go. What I really wanted to tell you is that I have spent a lifetime moving around the world. It feels like a lifetime anyway, good portion, 16 and a half years. If you don't know my story, I did not do a full 20 career in the military, but I am retired from the Army. And it was, at the time of my retirement, it was almost half of my lifetime. So it is a lifetime of moving around the world with that career. And it seems like second nature when I think about it. But this time I found it was, it was much more challenging. It was a bit different, maybe. It's very exciting, the things that are coming, but it definitely presented different thoughts and different feelings, emotions that came up, probably most likely related to having moved in the military. So if you've never talked to someone or experienced that yourself, let me just quickly share. When I'm talking about this idea of decluttering, I think this will make sense. I moved around every couple years, courtesy of the United States Army. And first of all, it was much easier. I always opted for the packers and movers to come do it for me, rather than packing it all up and putting it in a truck and trying to collect whatever extra money I could from doing it myself, what they called a do-it-yourself move or a ditty move in the military. There were plenty of people who tried to utilize that just to gain a little extra edge from an income standpoint. It was so much easier to let them come in and manage it. The problem or the downside with letting someone else come in and pack up everything for you, we, by the way, were very lucky throughout that process not to experience any real damage of any of our household goods, but it was packed for the most part, it was packed and labeled accordingly, but there were things that would end up in boxes with other items from maybe other rooms, maybe kitchen items in a bedroom box because of the space, and they tried to conserve space in that process of packing the materials and filling the boxes to capacity. And, not everything fits like a puzzle necessarily. And so we ended up over the years with boxes that, for many reasons, maybe we didn't unpack a certain box because we didn't have the space for decor items that we had in our previous house or apartment or whatever it may have been at the time, or maybe there was some kitchen stuff that didn't quite fit into the new kitchen, or, you know, what what ended up being was this collective group of things that didn't get unpacked, and this collective group of things just seemed to expand over time. Now, after leaving, I did spend some time decluttering those sorts of items, and working to unpack most of what had been carried around and possibly stored much longer than anticipated. And I know the ideas around, if you haven't used it in a year or two, then it's probably time to get rid of it. But there's a wealth of sentimental things that I needed to process before being able to purge from my life. I have been on a journey over the last couple of years of sort of coming to a place of more simplicity. I like the idea of being able to pick up and move, although I have collected some nice things over the years that I don't want to part with. I have a nice collection of beer steins from my time in Germany as one example. And here's a collector. If you're a collector, you may relate, but for a long period of time, everywhere I went in the world, I would bring home a shot glass. And for no particular reason other than it was an easy item to pack in a suitcase or carry in a bag. And it was not very expensive. So it was really easy to stop by any gift shop and pick up a shot glass as a remembrance of that location. And even my daughters got involved in this process. And it was sort of just a fun way to take note of some of the significant places I went and some of the significant places we all went, or some of us went, depending on what was going on, different vacation spots, etc. It was just a fun way to be a part of that for all of us. And as a result, I have a lot of shot glasses that honestly are still in a box because I don't have a very good way to display them. And I don't want them to just take up cabinet space where nobody can see them, where I can't enjoy them. And so they're still in a box as one example. Anyway, that had me realizing in this move, all of this tied together, right? In this move, I've realized that there's still more to unpack. There's still more to declutter, and there's still more to purge. And I've been doing a thorough process in a fairly short time of purging some things I know I can part with right now. And that's not been too bad, but just a new experience, if you will. Anyway, I digress from that, and I want to move on with our content for today. But, coupled with all of this, I will share a couple other points. A few months back, if you've listened to me on this show before, I've mentioned that I started the 75 Hard, which is a mental resilience program, and it has a definite physical component to it as well. I didn't complete the program because, well, to be frank, I missed the daily progress photo on day 27, just after Thanksgiving. And I was quite disappointed when I woke up in the morning and realized that I had forgotten, and I'd come this far in the journey. But I learned some things in that process as well. I have continued many of the habits that I picked up in that process and in that challenge. And it's been amazing for my health, for my fitness, for my mental well-being. I've been reading more. I've been staying more hydrated. But I think more importantly, it's really helped me to become more in touch with my creativity and get clearer on where I want to be and where I want to go in my life and in my business. Now, if that program has ever intrigued you because of other people talking about the benefits or the results that they've experienced, yet it seems like a bit far-fetched challenge for you, then I'm excited to share with you, and I've just joined as well. But one of the people that I like and follow and have been connected with for a few years now, his name is Leslie Samuel. It's Leslie Samuel. He created a more sustainable program for those who may have an interest in benefits of a program like 75 Hard, but may see it as more challenging than they want, or maybe more challenging than they're able to take on based where you're at in your life. And I would encourage you to check out this free program. He started it on Officially, we kicked off on January 1st, so there's still plenty of time to get in and join this wonderful community, gain some support and accountability in the process. In fact, there's some accountability built right into the program, and I really love that. So the program is called the Life Forge Community. You can follow Leslie on Facebook and find a recent post where he posted a link to the application, but I'm going to put that in the show notes for you as well. If you have any issues with that link, you have my email, please reach out and I'll invite you directly. Love to see you there. If any of the things I talk about coming up today resonate with you and you'd like to join a supportive community, again, it's completely free. And I'm not gaining anything other than the knowledge that you are working to improve yourself. All right, so maybe a little bit of big news, or at least it's big news for me, but I'm moving to the beach. Now, if you've heard me talk about this before, you know that this has been one of the things I have been most looking forward to since moving to Florida. I only live about 25 minutes from the beach driving, but I guess that just wasn't enough for me. One of my goals has been to find a place that meets most of my check boxes, and move closer to the beach. So now I'm going to prepare to be only a block away. So I'll be enjoying many more sunrise walks. If you follow me on social media, you probably have seen some of those sunrises before. This move has really inspired me to purge those unnecessary items of clutter from my life. The reason I've talked about 75 Hard and what that program has done for me and what I've been able to continue on is because of the clutter I've also been able to clear from my mind through that journey, through the new routines I've created as I've prepared for this move and as I work through the challenge of 75 Hard and beyond. And I've realized that I'm also moving into a more focused and more refreshed mindset. So as we begin this new year, I want to ask you, what do you need to clear out? Think about your mental clutter as we go into this content. Think about your office clutter. Think about the physical clutter taking up space in your house or your garage. And imagine what clearing all of that can do for you, for your life, and your business this year. We've now set, I hope, the stage for 2025. We've talked about real-time connection. I want to dive into the 3 areas that I'm pressing refresh on in my own life: my body, my health, and my mind. And I've touched on them briefly. By focusing on daily movements, mindful eating, and ongoing learning, I have been able to find a sort of renewed spark in my routine, and it's had just a tremendous ripple effect on my creativity, my energy, the overall momentum that I'm experiencing. So I want to share those 3 key areas of refresh, if you will, with you. And I hope that these will benefit you as you think about what you can do to refresh in your own life this year. All right, so the first way I've been refreshing my life is through daily exercise. Talked about it plenty. Whether you're walking, whether you hit the gym, or you're doing some other type of fitness, I encourage you to, first of all, make it fun. And then to continue steady improvement, aim for steady improvement, right? The idea isn't to go out and hurt yourself. It doesn't have to be a grueling process. It doesn't have to be some intimidating monster of fitness program, unless, of course, that's what you enjoy. I know some people who really, really, really get into that space. But if that's not for you, then I would say, how can you make it fun? How can you simply focus on just steady improvement, right? Maybe your walk time gets a little faster each day, or you walk a little further each day. Maybe you're doing a couple extra repetitions with the weights today instead of what you did yesterday. Whatever that looks like, keep it fun. Don't make it overly burdensome for you, and enjoy it. Enjoy the process of steady improvement. That is one way to refresh your body through exercise. Now, I couple my workouts with podcasts or other inspirational content. And you may have heard me talk about it, but in November, I also listened to The Strangest Secret audio daily for the first 30 minutes of my workouts, whatever it was. And having that extra mental stimulation really, I found, really helped me spark more refreshed creativity and inspiration. And it gave me new ideas to explore, new ideas to implement in my own life and in my coaching and in my business. And it was refreshing. That's why I came up with that keyword for today, refresh. Now, again, exercise doesn't have to be a chore. And it really, I don't know. I want to impress this on you, right? Because I've heard so many people talk about how exercise is such a chore, how it's painful. And I think that process creates a miserable experience for people that, truthfully, most people and the way we live our lives, that's not sustainable. I want you to focus again on making it fun and focusing on steady improvement to keep it as a sustainable thing, something you actually look forward to getting up and doing each day, or doing in the evenings before you go to bed, or whatever your nighttime routine may be. And wherever you incorporate this into your world, I want you to be able to sustain this over a much longer duration. I work out currently 7 days a week. That's one of the things I took from 75 Hard, and I mix it up. Some days I'll go for a walk. Some days I'll go to the gym and work out extra hard because that's how I'm feeling for that day. And some days I'll do some moderate or even lighter exercise. Some days I go to a CrossFit box or gym that we have here locally that I enjoy. There is no real rhyme or reason other than what is going to make it fun for me today. So I'm practicing what I'm preaching, if you will, and really just sharing what's worked well for me. So find a way to make it work well for you. Again, I pair my workouts with that inspirational content, whether it's podcasts, audiobooks, or motivational talks. I'd encourage you to find something, because this is like a 2-for-1 time. You can get your build your mental resiliency or creative inspiration and get your body moving. So you're feeding your mind and your body at the same time, right? Give it a shot. Try listening to something like The Strangest Secret and see what new ideas may come for you. And that's how I have found I'm able to get my reading in each day, not through that time period because I keep my reading separate, but that's how I get extra podcast content in for listening and looking for new ideas or listening for new insights, whatever it may be. Consistency, I think, is probably the most important piece here. Again, I said I'm doing 7 days a week. 75 Hard asked you to do 45 minutes a day, twice a day. One of them had to be outside. So I've reduced that to only one workout most days. Some days I might go for a walk just because I feel inspired or feel like I should move a little more that day. And it may be 30 minutes. It may be 45 minutes or more. Because of the program I'm involved in with Leslie, there is a 30-minute daily workout or body movement exercise type habit that he's wanting to see us implement, or I'm not sure how to phrase that, but for his program, there is a daily 30-minute commitment to an exercise of some sort. And again, it's also focused on just steady improvement, whatever that exercise is that you choose. So the second area I'm refreshing is with regard to my health. This really pertains to diet and hydration. If I'm being completely transparent, there are other things here. Told you I fell off of 75 Hard because of the photograph. I chose not to restart from day one, at least not yet, because I really wanted to partake in some of the holiday festivities. If I'm being honest, I enjoy a good wine, I enjoy a good beer, or a good mixed drink, not whatever it may be, but there are a few that I do enjoy. And I chose not to continue with 75 hard through the duration of the holidays because I had that opportunity. Maybe it was such subconscious programming that I failed to take that photograph. I don't know. Either way, I've enjoyed the holidays, and now I'm involved in this new program that started on the 1st, and I'm absolutely enjoying it. And I digress. So the real focus here is on water intake. I don't always drink a full gallon every day as I did during 75 hard, but it's definitely way more than before I started. It yeah, it's really about what we're putting into our bodies, right? Being mindful of what you're putting in, starting with water and increasing that intake has tremendous benefits all by itself. And if you're like me, you might have tried drinking a gallon a day before, and it can seem like a big task, but depending on your level of output, of course, that becomes easier. But even just a few extra glasses of water a day can work wonders for your mood, your ability to focus, and improve your overall health. Also, during the 75 hard challenge, and even during this new challenge with Leslie, you have to choose a diet or an eating plan to stick to, and they encourage to stick to it strictly. These days, I've regarded that, and I'm a bit more flexible in that. I remain very mindful of what I am eating. I eat a lot fewer processed foods, for instance. I definitely eat a lot less breads and pastas, or those bad carbs, you might call them. I don't know. I'm not a nutrition and health expert, but certainly know that those things give me, some lethargic feeling when I eat them. And so I've reduced that significantly. I focus on more fresh and balanced meals. And this has given me more renewed energy and better sleep overall, helping me to feel better. When it comes to food, I'm not a big fan of rigid diets. I don't think that rigid diets are sustainable. That's my personal opinion. Again, I'm not a professional in that space, but it's worked well for me. And I've seen it work well for others, where I've seen some of these very strict diet programs or eating programs not be sustainable over a long period of time. So I really believe it's more about me being mindful of how you feel after you eat certain meals. But those little choices add up, and the goal is to keep it sustainable, because you're more likely to stick with an eating style if it feels good and it doesn't feel like some sort of punishment, right? All right. So the third area that I'm refreshing and wanted to share with you is my mind. This is really about reading and listening. Every day I read a minimum of 10 pages from a nonfiction book, and I do prefer a physical book or my Kindle. I have the Kindle Paperwhite, and I've really enjoyed that. And often I will read more than those 10 pages, of course. And I found that this really has helped to fuel my creativity. It helps me to increase my focus on my work. But I also listen to podcast content daily. I told you I tend to combine my workouts every day with podcast content. And I subscribe to a handful that I am able to gain new insights from. And to be completely honest, I don't always listen to every episode from each one of them. If I start to listen to it and it's just not resonating with me in the moment, I will skip it. And I think probably many podcast listeners would acknowledge that they have similar patterns when it comes to what they choose to listen to. But listening to these things has really helped to open my mind to new creative ideas and offer fresh perspectives. Let me add a couple more points about the books, right? So 10 pages a day, that might seem small to some people, but it's amazing. At least, my reconnection to this daily reading habit has helped me realize how truly amazing it is that those little daily doses have really helped to fuel my creativity, my problem solving, and offer those fresh perspectives. And podcasts, right? Tuning into those shows that challenge your way of thinking or introduce you to new ideas. You call it found time, right? You can listen while you're driving, you're doing chores, or you're doing your workouts. So there's, definitely a benefit to what you can do with that time when you're choosing to intentionally engage in, exercise for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or even longer. By the way, bonus points if you take notes after you're listening or after your workout, or after your drive. Certainly don't want you to take notes while you're driving. But if you jot down those best takeaways or how you might apply some of these things in your life or business, and being able to capture that for later is super helpful. All right. So what I was going to say is I would summarize all of this by saying it's really about decluttering your world, driving into 2025 with a renewed or refreshed sense of self, increased momentum, and increased confidence. By focusing on your, refreshing in your physical fitness with your diet and your mental well-being, you're creating, or you should be working on, not should, I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but you could be creating these new daily routines that are fun, they're engaging, and hopefully they're inspiring to you. And then, of course, to the people whom you might be working with, whether your clients or coworkers, whatever your situation is. And this is how you can truly deliver more powerful experiences. Let me leave you with this question. What are you clearing out of your life in 2025? Whether it's your life, your body, your health, your mind, to focus on truly kickstarting more health, wealth, and excitement this year. What are you decluttering? What are you clearing out? And remember this, decluttering isn't just about getting rid of stuff. I started with that just as one of my examples, but it's led to so much more through the things that I've experienced over truly the last year, but definitely over the last few months. It's really all about making space for that next level in your life and in your business. Hey, if you enjoyed any of today's episode, I would again invite you to please take a moment to rate or review the show. And I would encourage you that if there's someone in your life that might benefit from a little refresh today, that you share it with them. Thanks so much for joining me again, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.